Honestly, Boruto isn't really a hero anymore. If you're still looking at the latest chapters of Two Blue Vortex and seeing a savior of the world, you might be missing some of the finer details. Or maybe you're just staying hopeful for him because you care about the character. For years we've been told that Boruto is a victim of circumstance, a tragic heir, a boy broken by fate. But the reality is actually a lot more intense. Right now, Boruto Uzumaki is the most dangerous person in the entire Naruto universe. He's more dangerous than Kaguya, and honestly, even more dangerous than Ishiki. The big difference is that unlike them, he chose this path himself. He's not a savior. He's the perfect embodiment of an Otsutsuki who willingly traded his humanity for pure power. This strength he has now isn't a blessing, it's more like a death sentence for every living thing. Would you like me to do a deep dive in the next video about how the manga and Boruto's story will finally end? If so, definitely subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. That lets me know you're interested and helps me get the next video out even faster. Thanks to everyone, and now let's get back into it. A lot of fans still see him as a kid who just wants to get his dad and his old life back. But we have to face facts. In the latest chapters of Two Blue Vortex, we see someone who is cold, calculating, and a terrifyingly efficient fighter. He's using the power of a being that spent centuries destroying worlds. Boruto even flat out said he doesn't see a future for himself. He isn't playing by the rules of a ninja anymore. He's playing by the rules of the gods. Here's the problem. How can Boruto stay a hero when every step he takes and every bit of power he uses brings him closer to becoming Momoshiki? We're seeing this incredible power, but we might be missing how Boruto's own personality is slowly being erased. But there is a way to understand this. The only way to really get what's happening is to look at the deal he made deep in his subconscious. Stay with me until the end and you'll see why that famous line from chapter 1, "I guess this was the only possible outcome," isn't just a random comment. It's proof that Boruto has already seen the death of everyone he loves and he's made his peace with it. Is Boruto actually in control of Momoshiki, or is Momoshiki just letting him think he is? In chapter 29, we see Boruto with the Byakugan activated, acting with total awareness. He's using Otsutsuki powers as if they were his own. Boruto has crossed a line. He's no longer just a vessel. He's a full-on hybrid with the knowledge and power of a deity combined with the tactical genius of a human. Let's look at the psychology and the mechanics of what went down in these recent chapters. We saw Boruto activate the true essence form of karma. This isn't like before where Momoshiki takes over his body like in the fights against Ishiki or Boro. No, this was a conscious choice. Momoshiki confirmed that everything Boruto needs is now at his fingertips. What does that mean? It means every technique Momoshiki gathered over thousands of years, all his shinjutsu knowledge and even the abilities of the absorbed kinshiki are now in the hands of a 15-year-old. But everything comes with a price. Their minds and bodies are now one. Imagine never being alone. Every thought, every little hesitation in your soul is instantly read by a parasite that only wants you dead. Momoshiki isn't like Kurama. There's going to be no friendly tea time in the subconscious here. This is a constant mental war where any tiny moment of weakness from Boruto could be the end of him. It breaks my heart thinking about the loneliness Boruto is stuck with. He can't truly trust anyone, not even Sarada or Sumire, because Momoshiki would know about any plan to betray him. It's like living in a golden cage of absolute power. Drop a like if you also hate the idea of being that alone. One of the hottest topics has been the Byakugan. Many people were waiting for the Jugan, but the manga took us back to the Otsutsuki roots. However, Momoshiki's Byakugan isn't just the X-ray vision of the Hyuga clan, it's something much more ominous. In the canon, it's been shown that Momoshiki can see fragments of other people's futures. He predicted Boruto would lose everything, and he saw the results of Ada's omnipotence before it even happened. Now that power has passed to Boruto. Think about the tactical advantage in a fight. You don't just see an enemy's strikes, you see their intentions a second before they even form them. Take the fight with Mamushi, for example. Boruto isn't just dodging, he's already standing where the enemy is going to be a moment later. Combine that with the flying Raijin, and he's basically a god of space and speed. Why is the Byakugan more important for Boruto right now than the Jugan? It allows for perfect 359-degree spatial awareness, which is critical for using teleportation marks. The Byakugan is his main tool for survival and dominance at this stage. Looking at Boruto's fighting style in Two Blue Vortex is honestly a treat for any fan of tactics. Minato had a limit, and that was human perception. But Boruto, using the Byakugan, sees the entire battlefield for miles. He sees every bit of chakra and every mark. His teleportation doesn't even require aiming anymore, he just knows exactly where he needs to be. Also, Momoshiki absorbed Kinshiki, who specialized in creating weapons out of chakra. In the recent chapters, we see Boruto's incredible swordsmanship, but imagine if he starts manifesting extra blades in midair or changing his body's density at a cellular level like Kinshiki did. His physical strength doesn't rely on muscles anymore. It's fueled by divine chakra. And like I mentioned before, if the Rasengan used to be a big explosion, Boruto can now fire it like a bullet, hitting an enemy's tenketsu points with precision from a huge distance. I really believe we're about to see some hybrid techniques soon. What if he combines Uzuhiko with spatial displacement so that the planet's rotation itself is delivered via teleportation? That's a level of destruction you just can't block. Kashin Koji is a character that I find both fascinating and really worrying. He has Shinjutsu and the ability to see all possible futures. He's become Boruto's new mentor, but doesn't that feel a little suspicious to you? Koji is a clone of Jiraiya, and Jiraiya's destiny was always tied to self-sacrifice for the sake of the future. My theory is that Koji knows that for Boruto to reach the one winning future, the world might eventually suffer because of Momoshiki, and Koji himself will likely have to die. But for what exactly? His death might be the emotional key that pushes Boruto to awaken the Jugen and eventually master that eye. On top of that, Koji might pass down his knowledge or even his precognition ability to Boruto before he goes. Imagine a Boruto who has Momoshiki's vision and Koji's probability analysis. He'd become a being that exists in every timeline at once. Let's go back to that legendary scene at the ruins of Konoha. I guess this was the only possible outcome. We used to think that was a line of pure despair. Now, knowing he has access to foresight, we realize it's a line of acceptance. Boruto knows about thousands of future scenarios. Scenarios where Naruto dies, scenarios where Kawaki wins forever, scenarios where the shinobi world vanishes entirely. The battle we see is his one and only chance to save even a tiny piece of the world he once knew. Did you notice how much his look has changed? Sasuke's sword, the cloak, the scar. It's not just for style. Those are symbols of everything he's gone through. Boruto doesn't wear his headband as an accessory anymore. He wears it as a vow. The fact that he looks like that in the future confirms he's been through hell but kept his shinobi will despite the godlike power inside him. This also backs up my theory about a second time skip in the manga, which I talked about in my previous videos. The main conflict of this story isn't actually the fight with Kawaki, it's the fight inside Boruto. How do you stay human when you have the power to destroy stars? There's another layer to this that almost no one is talking about. Even if the impossible happens, even if Boruto keeps Momoshiki at bay, saves the world from Kawaki and the Shinju, and stops every future threat, there still might not be a place for him in that world. The shinobi world doesn't really know how to live alongside someone who stands above the very concept of strength. Naruto's story was built on a balance of fear and trust. Hashirama was strong, but he was mortal. Madara became godlike, and because of that he became the world's enemy. Naruto walked that line perfectly, but his humanity was always obvious to everyone. With Boruto, it's different. His power doesn't fit into any category we know. He's not a Kage, he's not a Jinchuriki, he's not a village weapon, and he's not even a threat you can seal away. He is a variable that can't be controlled or understood. That's what makes his situation so tragic. If he gets weak, the world dies. If he stays strong, the world will fear him. He can't be a hero or a villain in the way we're used to. He becomes a sort of living safety fuse for reality, a being whose presence is necessary but whose existence feels like a glitch in the system. This is where Boruto's path completely diverges from Naruto's. Naruto fought for recognition. Boruto already knows that recognition isn't coming. The best he can hope for is silent acceptance and fear disguised as gratitude. Maybe that's why he's so calm. He's already past the stage of hoping to be understood. He isn't acting to be accepted. He's acting because if he doesn't, the world won't make it to tomorrow. I feel so much for Boruto. Imagine knowing you are the star of hope for the world but also the most dangerous creature on the planet. His love for his family and friends is the only anchor keeping him from turning into a new Momoshiki. But let's look even deeper. The biggest tragedy for Boruto Uzumaki is that he's become a living paradox. To protect the shinobi world, he has to stop being a shinobi. Think about the title Two Blue Vortex. It's not just a cool name, it's a collision of two forces that have outgrown human understanding. If Naruto represented the era of connections and friendship, Boruto represents the era of the absolute loneliness of a god. He's at the peak of power, but it's the peak of a frozen mountain. The knowledge he's gained through Koji and Momoshiki makes his life feel like watching a movie where he already knows the ending but can't change it without sacrificing himself. It raises a scary question. Is there even anyone left in that body we can call the son of the 7th Hokage? When you're dealing with Shinjutsu and seeing the world as a web of probabilities and chakra flows, things like villages or family ties start to look heartbreakingly small. His coldness towards Sarada isn't arrogance, it's the distance he has to keep so that her potential death in one of the future timelines doesn't break him completely. He's not just fighting enemies anymore, he's fighting the very fabric of reality that's trying to swallow his personality. We have to realize that Boruto is the first true Otsutsuki in history trying to keep a human heart, and that combination is almost impossible. Otsutsuki power is naturally hungry, it wants to consume and dominate. Boruto is trying to use a tool of destruction to create and protect. It's like trying to paint a delicate masterpiece with a nuclear blast. Every move he makes is a massive effort of will to stop the God program from overriding who he is. That's the real horror of Two Blue Vortex. We're used to heroes winning and coming home to a celebration. But for Boruto, there is no home anymore. Even if he wins, he's a being that exists beyond human understanding. He's an outcast not because of a crime, but because he's no longer human. That scar on his eye isn't just a mark, it's a crack in his humanity where something ancient is looking out. When he says, "I'm still a shinobi," it's not just a fact, it's a desperate plea to hold on to the boy who just wanted his dad's attention. Boruto isn't just not a hero, he's a martyr who has to become a monster so that other monsters don't stand a chance. Think about the name of the series for a second, Two Blue Vortex. It's not just some flashy title to make the rebranding look cool, it actually points to the absolute core of Boruto's current existence. On one side, you've got the Rasengan Uzuhiko, a technique that literally harnesses the rotation of the planet itself. That is peak god-tier stuff. But on the other side, that vortex represents the spiraling descent of his own soul. Every time Boruto taps into that planetary chakra, he's proving that he's moved way past the concept of simple ninjutsu. He's essentially rewriting the laws of physics. Now here's the kicker. While he's manipulating the world's rotation, he's also stuck in a personal vortex, where his human memories are being drowned out by Momoshiki's ancient ego-driven data. It's like he's trying to stay centered while the entire universe is trying to spin him out of control. We're watching a kid who is literally holding the world together with one hand while holding his own sanity together with the other. If he slips for even a millisecond, the vortex doesn't just swallow his enemies, it swallows the last remnants of the boy who wanted to be like Sasuke. That's the high-stakes gamble Kishimoto is playing with right now, and honestly, it's terrifying to think about what happens when that rotation finally stops. I'm certain that in the upcoming chapters we'll see the conflict with Kawaki hit a whole new level. Kawaki will see the true Otsutsuki in Boruto, and his desire to protect the 7th will turn into a fanatical obsession with destroying his brother at any cost. Himawari's role. Her new connection with Kurama is going to be a huge factor. She might be the only light that can pull Boruto back when he gets lost in his visions of fate. We are witnessing the birth of what might be the deepest story in the entire Naruto universe. Boruto has gone from a spoiled kid to an Otsutsuki with a shinobi's soul. His path is brutal and his future is dark, but that's exactly why we can't look away. I want to ask you, do you think Boruto has already passed the point of no return? Can he ever be a normal person again, or is he destined to be a cursed guardian in the shadows forever? And do you think the Jugun is actually a star of hope or just another curse? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your theories in the comments, and let's talk about these future visions together. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to see more Two Blue Vortex content, please subscribe and hit that like button. Your support is what keeps me digging for answers in our favorite story. See you in the next one.